Hi YouTube, Gavin here. In this video I'm going to share why Main Street Capital Corporation is my largest stock holding and why so many companies such as Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, and Bank of America are some of their largest investors. First, let's go through a quick history of Main. The company was founded in the mid-1990s, had its debut IPO on October 5th, 2007, and is headquartered in Houston, Texas. Instead of reinventing the wheel, here's a concise summary of the company by usnews.com. Main Street Capital is a principal investment firm that provides long-term debt and equity capital to lower middle market companies. Main Street's investments are primarily made to support management buyouts, recapitalizations, growth financings, and acquisitions of companies that operate in diverse industry sectors and generally have annual revenues ranging from $10 million to $100 million. Main Street seeks to partner with entrepreneurs, business owners, and management teams and generally provides one-stop financing alternatives to its portfolio companies. In layman's terms, they are an investor in small to medium-sized companies. Some of the industries that they focus on are healthcare, technology, and transportation. Looking at Main Street from an institutional lens, we look at their EPS, earnings per share, which disciplines such as accounting consider one of the most, if not the most important metrics. Utilizing macrotrends.com, which is a good site for consolidated information, we see that their EPS since 2009 has had some fluctuations, but is growing with it rounding out 2023 with a strong EPS of $5.23. Taking a look at their income statement, we also see that there are some fluctuations, but overall steady growth over 7 years. The same correlation is consistent with their balance sheet. Before we look at the dividend side of the company, let's analyze their equity gains in the market. There are 3 indexes that most people like to compare individual stock performance to. First, of course, being the Dow Jones, which is an indicator of the general market, specifically the New York Stock Exchange. The NASDAQ, which is the second largest stock exchange, and of course the S&P 500, which consists of the 5 largest publicly traded companies in the United States. We will start this comparison with 2008, since that is the first full year that Main Street Capital is a publicly traded company. Obviously, 2008 was a rough year for the market since it is the Great Recession. We see that Main Street had a loss of 30%, but it still lost less than the 3 main indexes. However, Main Street in 2009 increased by 65%, whereas the NASDAQ only had 44% increase, S&P 500 23, and the Dow Jones 19. A notable year also is 2011, where Main Street actually increased in share value by 17%, whereas the NASDAQ lost 2%, S&P 500 had 0% increase or loss, and the Dow Jones lost 6%. Following 2011, 2012 was a great year for Main, where they increased 44%, much larger than the 3 other indexes. Another notable year is 2014, where Main Street actually lost 11%. However, the NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow Jones had increases. When combining all the data from 2008 up until June 2024, we see that Main Street has had 179% increase in their share price. The NASDAQ has had 253%, S&P 500 166%, and the Dow Jones 131%. We aren't incorporating dividends in this analysis, so without dividends, Main Street beat the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. But let's look at how Main Street did it against the 3 indexes in 2023 in more detail. To do our analysis, we'll start with the share price of Main Street Capital at the opening of the market in January, where the NASDAQ was, S&P 500, and the Dow Jones. From start to finish for the fiscal year 2023, Main Street Capital increased by 16.28%, NASDAQ increased by 37.18%, S&P 500 22.49%, and the Dow Jones 13.68%. So you might be looking at this and think, Main Street only beat the Dow Jones, they didn't beat the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. However, if you were to add the dividends that you received from Main Street Capital without reinvesting them, Main Street increased by 25.02%. Comparing Main for 2024 against NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and S&P 500 with their dividend yield of 5.91%, Main Street has increased by 19.91% if you were to reinvest the dividends back into the stock, where the NASDAQ has increased by 20.05%, S&P 500 15.05%, and the Dow Jones by 4.14%. With this compound dividend strategy, Main Street beat the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones by a significant margin and came within the NASDAQ by 0.15%. Now that we have some context on how Main Street has done against the market, let's look at some of their largest investors. The company's top 10 largest owners are Price & Associates, Burgundy, Van Eyck, Morgan Stanley, Legal General Group, BlackRock, Adele, Bank of America, and PLP Financial. The majority of the companies on this list are investment management companies. However, we also do have those banks as well. On this list, we see household names like Bank of America, the second largest bank in the world, and Morgan Stanley being the eighth. Of course, we have the infamous BlackRock as well. Although Price, Burgundy, and Van Eyck Associates might not be household names, they are very successful and powerful firms. Let's take a look at what their holdings produce. As of recording this video, Price owns 3,440,000 shares of Maine, Burgundy has 1,090,000, and Van Eyck has 1,010,000. With the amount of shares that Price owns, their monthly dividend is about $850,000. Burgundy's monthly dividend is about $270,000, and Van Eyck's is $250,000. Now for the fun stuff, dividends. Since September 2019, Maine has been growing their monthly dividend consistently. This monthly dividend combined with equity gains is why so many people and institutions hold Maine in their portfolios. Going back to 2008, we see the company started paying a dividend, and in 2009 they began paying their monthly dividend. Since they started this, they have paid a minimum of 12 dividends a year. What makes Maine special is that since 2013, they have paid at least 13 dividends per year. Looking at the history of their special dividends, they usually pay an additional 2 dividends a year, one being around Q1 and one being around the end of Q4. This is also known as their Christmas bonus. Looking at 2017 and 2022, the company paid 16 dividends throughout the year. With their continued strong performance, it looks as if their additional quarterly dividends become the norm for the company. The best part is that these special dividends are almost always higher than their regular monthly dividend. From the excellent equity gains to the incredible dividends, Main Street Capital continues to be the perfect investment for anyone looking to generate passive income while also appreciating their portfolio. Personally, I love Main Street Capital and will continue to invest in the company. I have to say that those special dividends around the holidays feel better than actual Christmas presents. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you watching. If you found something in this video useful, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos on investing, career development, or the military, I'd greatly appreciate a subscription. If you have any other stocks or ETFs you want me to analyze, leave it in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching and take care.